The CDC advisory panel will meet this week to discuss the rollout of booster shots for Moderna and Johnson & Johnson. And unlike the vaccine, the FDA may not allow people to mix and match the third shot. This will allow for people who experienced adverse reactions from the original shot to actually try a different brand. Joining me now is family physician Sujan Gogu. Pleasure to have you, Dr. Gogu. So what are your thoughts? Could mixing and matching provide a stronger response to the Delta variant?
Yeah, I think this is fantastic news. I think the benefit from this really comes from the logistics standpoint in that, we'll have patients that don't really need to hunt down the same vaccine that they've gotten prior. And I think the second thing that's kind of reassuring is that mixing and matching, we found that it's safe. There's no real dangerous side effects. And so it's reassuring for patients.
All right, so Doc, the senior population, we all know they are particularly vulnerable to COVID. We saw how this virus ravaged that community in the beginning. They're being recommended to get the shot first, but only 50% have done that so far. And we also know we all live about 5 miles from a vaccination site. What do you think is behind the hesitancy?
I think, some of it, obviously is, people got 2 doses of the vaccine. And so, the question is, do we need, a third dose? I think we need more messaging that's really out there to those groups that, please try to get your booster shot as recommended. I also think, we're just getting more and more information and really advocating out to the public about this booster vaccine. So I think that's super helpful. I also think this mix and match approval that's being that's happening. I think it's really going to help because it's going to really offer life-saving flexibility for patients, because we really live in a world where COVID vaccines still remain in desperate short supply. And so if we can switch to another vaccine, that just brings about more availability for patients, which is so beneficial.
All right, well, speaking of that benefit, let's talk about, we had a big loss yesterday. Retired General Colin Powell died of COVID-19 complications. He was fully vaccinated, but he also had an immunocompromised system as well. So health officials recommend getting vaccinated to prevent hospitalization and death. Now, since we know that he was fully vaccinated, do you think people will now use this as an excuse to basically say, hey, this vaccine doesn't work?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of misinformation kind of on that whole story because, Colin Powell, he had multiple myeloma, which is really a condition that really decreases your immunity. And so the message that really needs to be propagated out there is people like Colin Powell were at higher risk because there's other people out there in the population that are unvaccinated. And that's why it's so important that it's just not people that get fully vaccinated themselves, but they get vaccinated because it protects other people that are around them. And so had there been more people probably vaccinated around Colin Powell, he might not have contracted COVID-19 and, he could have possibly still lived today. So we just, we need better education from that standpoint, that this vaccine is really protecting others, not just yourself.
Well, tell us more about that and why. I mean, it's your time to encourage folks who aren't vaccinated. There are tens of millions of them out there. Why should they take the plunge to save someone like General Colin Powell's life? They could have done that.
Well, I think the most important thing, is we all have families, we all have friends, and we're all American, we're all patriotic, we love each other. And I think, getting this vaccine, what it really allows is it allows you to protect other people that are around you from contracting that virus, but it's also protecting yourself at the end of the day. It's allowing you to do your job without, hurting other people around you. So it's possibly the most patriotic thing that you can do for yourself and others. So I strongly recommend the vaccine, and I continue to advocate it for all my patients.
All right, we got about a minute left, Dr. Gogu. Booster shots, are they going to become a normal part of our lives moving forward?
Yes, they are going to be a normal part of our lives, and we'll see how that progresses moving forward.
All right, Dr. Gogu, a pleasure having you, sir. Thanks for joining us.